Hello and welcome to my full raid guide of Salavations Edge. I'm going to try my very best to help explain all 5 encounters. Before we get started, remember that raids now have a -5 light level modifier along with surges that change on a weekly basis. Surges means that on a weekly basis, 2 different elements from weapons and supers will deal extra damage. Now on to the raid. When you launch the raid, you'll have to make your way to the first encounter, so there isn't much for me to explain, except to tell you that you're gonna have to deal with some jumping and ad clearing until you make it to the first encounter. Substratum. This is the first encounter of the raid. This one is a mechanic type encounter with a few tanky enemies. Firstly, this encounter will have an overall timer that can be extended. If it runs out of time, it will wipe, which I guess can already be assumed. So in this middle room, there's an orange glowing box in the middle, where you will deposit stuff to extend the timer. So, to start the encounter, everyone needs to head inside this middle room. You'll then notice all the doors around you close, along with a pyramid triangle that spawns right next to the box. This is what is called a resonance. The resonance is what starts the encounter and gives you more time to the wipe counter when deposited into the box. Immediately after, there will be a hand that spawns this triangle glow around you on the ground. When it does, make sure to get away from it ASAP because it will explode after some time and hurt. Basically, that's the witness trying to slow you down. After some time, you'll see the 2 doors open in the room, have your team split up, and each group go into one room. Inside, you're going to kill everything that you see, obviously not your teammates. Hydras end up spawning in after ads are killed, and they are the key to open the next door. Killing the Hydra will either open up your door or the other team's door. Repeat this until you come across an overload. Kill it and you'll hear a tormentor spawn in. Run back to the middle and kill him. This will actually close all doors and activate a certain mechanic. Killing Tormy will open 2 more doors where you and your team need to split up again. Repeat by killing everything inside, except this time the plate mechanic will be activated. But before we do that, there will be another Tormy that spawns in the middle, so take that out first and then go back into the room to start the plates. Okay, so the plate mechanic may sound confusing, but I promise it's not. This plate, when glowing orange, means it's active with energy and can be stepped on. When someone steps on it and it gets off right away, it will send the electric pulse into one of the 2 directions. As you can see, it has 2 red lines attached to it. The pulse will travel down one of those lines and to the next plate. The second person will wait until that pulse reaches their plate to step on. However, you need to step on at a certain time frame. The plate will glow orange before that pulse even gets to it, so you need to wait until that pulse reaches your plate and wait until the orange ring is around it. This orange ring will start closing in on itself until it reaches the middle. When it does that, you are too late to step on, so you want to step on the plate when that ring appears. Doing that will actually send the pulse back to the first plate. The person at the first plate will also get on to send it back again. That is how you are going to change the electric pulse back and forth between person 1 and person 2. This actually spawns in the triangle resonance for everyone to collect, which is what you need in order to increase the timer by the box. Resonance will spawn in both plate rooms and in the middle where the hand is located. Since there are 2 plates for each group, the third person will help out with ads and collect the resonance in the middle room so they don't yoink them from the plate people. Collect the resonance, but remember you can only hold 3. If you pick up a 4th, it will kill you. Now to end the phase, the second plate person will have a totem that looks like this somewhere in the room. This totem will be open with a triangle shape in the middle. The triangle can be shot only with the triangle resonance. Once everyone has the resonance stacks, the second person can shoot the triangle whenever, and when the pulse reaches the plate, they get on and that will close the totem. You want to shoot the triangle before the pulse gets to your plate, does not matter where you stand. Now that it's closed, and the other teams as well, go back to the middle to kill the subjugator and the box will appear where everyone will deposit their stacks. That is the first phase. You'll see the timer go up for the next phase and repeat everything. Fun fact, 4 minutes and 10 seconds is the max time you can get. Just quickly wanted to talk about loadouts. Because there are no bosses, you can use any type of Ad-Killer supers and weapons that you like. I personally use a machine gun and stasis abilities to freeze enemies as I go, and I use Goldie for Tormentor just to kill him fast. Herald of Finality, the second encounter with a boss. Here you will use the same plate and totem mechanic, except that this time you get introduced to a new shape, which is circle. So now in this room you have circle and triangle resonance that spawns in. This room has 3 sides, which means 2 people will go left, 2 middle, and then 2 right side. Start the encounter by shooting the blight in the arena, and that will spawn in a boss as well as ads on each side. There will be 2 knights that spawn in, and once they are dead, each side will get a yellow bar mini boss. Middle gets a phalanx, left gets a wizard, and right has an ogre. During this time, one person on each side will get a buff called Call to Reckoning. This means you are chosen to go down into the arena and shoot the boss's weak point. His weak point is at the top of his head. While the 3 people are in the arena, every so often there is a blight on his head, which means each side of the room has a blight that the non-buff people need to shoot. Once the weak spot has been broken, which is a very noticeable sound, the Call to Reckoning buff will now be upgraded to Stolen Favor. They now have the ability to see what shape is inside the totem. Because we now have 2 shapes, it will either show circle or triangle, and it's different for each side. Just like in the last encounter, there are 2 plates on each side. The totem plate is usually closer to the boss arena, and the starter plate is behind it on a different floor. So the starter plate is the plate that glows orange first and is the first to send a pulse. The totem plate is where you need to shoot the totem to close it and end the phase. So with the Stolen Favor buff, you can see what shape is in the totem. That means the person that is on totem mechanic will have to pick up the corresponding resonance shape that the totem shows. Shooting it with the wrong resonance will wipe the encounter. However, the fun fact is that if the totem shows circle, you can still pick up 2 triangles as long as the final pickup is a circle. The final pickup will override all your other resonance shapes. So going back to the mechanic, the person with the buff does not have to go on totem duty. They would just have to call out the shape the totem shows to their partner so they know what to pick up, and then they can go up to their starter plate. Chain the plate back and forth just like in the last encounter to spawn resonance around you. The starter plate person can pick up whichever resonance they want, but the totem person will have to pay attention for what they pick up. If at any point the pulse chain breaks, it will spawn in that mini boss again near the person down below, and may have a chance that the totem shape changes. So if it happens, have the buff person double check the shape by the totem. When everyone is ready, shoot the totem to close it. Remember that you need to shoot it either after you've sent the pulse or right after your partner sends it to you. Shoot the shape and step on the plate when you can to close it. Then run to the middle and deposit your stacks to increase the time in your next phase, and boss damage phase will start. Do boss damage until he is immune. After that, go back to your side and repeat everything. As for loadouts and damage weapons, my team and I use swords. One person usually has the Ergo-Sum energy sword with Wolfpack rounds so that the other players do more damage, pretty much like Galahorn. You are more than welcome to use Lament, but it will not work with Wolfpack rounds, so I just use a random sword with Whirlwind and Relentless that has the corresponding elemental type as the Surge of the Weak. Definitely have a well on the team so you don't die while doing boss damage, and hunters can go Tether and Goldie. Tether is used for debuffing the boss, and Goldie obviously for damage. Oh, and a fun fact, using Prismatic and popping Transcendence during the boss damage will boost your damage output. Hello, just popping in here really quick. If you've been enjoying the video, please leave a like, it would help out tremendously. Also, I will be live on my Twitch almost on a daily basis where I will do as many raid helps as I can do. So if you're struggling to find a team or with the mechanics, feel free to check me out over there. Repository, the 3rd encounter of the raid, and this one does not have a boss. Here you get introduced to another shape, square, so now you will have triangle, circle, and square resonance. Just like in the previous encounters, plate and totem mechanics are used once again in here. So right when you drop down, you have to start the plates, the ones that sense the pulse first. Connected to it on the other side of the room are the totem plates, and I usually call those people runners. When starting the encounter, runners will have tormentors spawn on them. Starters are more than welcome to help out, as long as they don't get the final blow on it. The runners need that final kill to get the buff that allows them to read the totem. Once the tormentors are killed, be careful with the turrets that spawn in everywhere, and everyone will get to their plates and start chaining them back and forth. Doing that will spawn the resonance around everyone. The left side of the room will always spawn in square, the middle side will always spawn in circle, and the right side always spawns in triangle. Once everyone chained it enough, usually around 2 to 3 times, everyone can break the chain to start picking up the resonance. Remember that breaking the chain will punish you by spawning a subjugator at the runner's plates. The runners will have to pick up the shapes on their side. After that, the runners are going to communicate with each other about what shapes each of their totem is. Because even though left side spawn in square, that means left totem may have a triangle shape. Therefore, the runner on the very right will have to go to the left totem. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that the runners have to switch sides until everyone is at the corresponding totem with their shape they picked up. They will then shoot their totem and tell the starters to hop on their plate again. This will close all the totems once the runners step on their plate, and then go to the box to deposit resonance to give you more time in the next phase. I believe max time is around 3.5 minutes. Move to the big door on the other end, where you'll kill an unstoppable and run to the next room. There are 3 total rooms and your mechanics stay the same in every one of them. However, there are going to be differences. Each of the rooms are going to look bigger and much different. Not only that, but the lines from the starter plate to the totem plate are going to start overlapping and crossing over each other. So in this case, the first room looked like this. You can definitely tell who your partner is. However, in the second room, the plates look like this. So if the runners want to have the same partners, they need to remember this picture so they know where to stand. And in the third room, it may look a lot more chaotic because this is how the room layout looks like. As for loadouts, I highly recommend all kinds of ad clear. I had one person use Divinity to help kill the tormentors and subjugators faster. Thunderlord or any other machine gun is a good choice, and for super, you can either use more ad-based super or even a damage super to use against those tanky enemies. Verity, the 4th encounter and also the hardest to learn, but I promise you, once you know the mechanics, it's actually really fun. In this encounter, you and your teammates want to put on the craziest looking outfits and ghosts, something that will make you stand out and be different from each other. As you can see, there are 6 statues on the pedestals, all representing the team. These statues and the ghosts that you're using will be used to identify each teammate later on. First, I'm going to explain what happens when you get teleported, and then I'm going to explain what happens when you don't. When you start the encounter by the statue, 3 people are going to get teleported in a solo room. The 3 people that get teleported will actually be the 3 statues that are surrounding this middle platform. One of the people on the solo team will give the people in the main room a callout on which statue is holding which shape. For example, we do callouts from left to right, meaning the left callout would be square, middle is circle, and the right is triangle. That will be the only communications between the 2 teams. After that, every solo player will look for their own statue and see what shape they're holding. That will be the shape that they want to keep. Every other shape they want to get rid of. On the wall, you will have 2 shapes rotating. That basically tells you ahead of time of what shapes will be dropping from the enemies. And the enemies that drop the shapes are the knights. So let's use me as an example. My statue is holding a square and my wall says square and circle. That means that one of my knights will drop a square and the other will drop a circle. Now if I kill one knight and if it drops a square, I want to leave it alone and not pick it up. Because my statue is holding a square, I want to make sure I keep that square in my room. Instead, I'm going to kill the other knight and it's going to drop a circle. I'm going to pick that one up and find a statue that's also holding a circle and deposit it there. That means I just sent that solo player a circle. Then my teammate who's holding circle is going to send me my square by planting it to my statue, which will give me my second shape. and the person that is holding triangle already has their 2 triangles on a wall, so they don't have to switch anything until everyone has both their shapes. With everyone dunking their shapes to the matching statue, it results in everyone having 2 shapes on their wall, which is the exact same shape that their statue is holding. So for example, if you look at my wall, I now have 2 squares. My teammates are going to have 2 circles and 2 triangles. Make sure to communicate with your team that you have your matching shapes along with everybody else, because everyone needs to be on the same page to do the next part. Now that everyone has their matching one, I will then pass both of my shapes to my teammates. What I mean is that I will kill one knight, pick up that square and dunk it at circle. Then I pick up the other square from the second knight and dunk it at triangle. Now I send both of my squares away, 1 square to each of the team members. My teammates are going to do the exact same thing with their shapes, which will result in me having circle and triangle on a wall. That is when I will kill both of my knights and pick up both symbols so they combine in my pocket, and with that combination I can run to this glass wall and exit my solo room to join the others in the main room. Now please trust the process. In order to exit the room, I have to have 1 of each shape in my pocket. So because my statue was holding a square, pretend that square is already in my pocket and all I needed was a circle and a triangle to put in my pocket as well and exit the room. Now I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. The witness likes to interrupt us in the raid, so while I was in my solo room giving away my 2 squares, my team and I got interrupted by the witness, which means every solo player died. When we die, our ghosts get spawned in the main room and the 3 players in that room have to pick up our ghost and go to the flag side with all the pedestals and deposit our ghost. However, it comes with a catch. They have to place the ghost to the corresponding guardian, which is where knowing your teammate's ghost comes in play. So, the 3 people that are dead are actually able to see another dead person on a pedestal, but you will never see yourself. Basically, since I'm dead, you can see me flip through every point of view until I have a good view of all the pedestals. 3 guardians are dead, so there are 3 glowing stands where a ghost needs to be placed. I am able to see one of my teammates on that 3rd pedestal, so I will call out that the flower head is number 3. If everyone knows what ghost they are using, then the person that picked up the shark ghost will know that it belongs to the flower head and place it there. Then, one of my other teammates will call out saying that Swerg is on pedestal number 2, and so on. Whenever you are dead, you will never see your own guardian. You have to make a call out for whoever you see standing on the stands, and honestly, it's okay if you can just point out features. Like, oh, I see a guardian wearing this pumpkin head on this pedestal. And whoever has that pumpkin head, like whoever it is, can call out, hey, I'm Pumpkinhead, I have the bunny ghost, so whoever picked up the bunny ghost will know where to place it. The way I call out the pedestals is from 1 through 6 left to right, and for those that pick up a ghost, you want to make sure you see which ghost you are picking up and remember it. Now that I have been revived, I will spawn back into my solo room and proceed switching the shapes where I left off. Once everyone has exited their solo room and is back in this main room, everyone is going to ad clear, and after ad clearing, 5 members are going to die and 1 is going to survive. Their survivor has to start picking up a ghost and listen to their teammate on where they need to place it. So yes, everyone is going to have to communicate. Every member can only see 1 dead guardian. The people that get revived can definitely help out with placing ghosts because you only have around 30 seconds to do this. After everyone is revived, you will repeat the same process for the 2nd and 3rd phase. Now I'm going to go over what you need to do when you don't get teleported. If you are in this main room, you want to dissect shapes. A solo player will give us a callout of which shape which statue is holding. So they could say that left statue is square, middle is circle, and right is triangle, as an example. The reason being is because in the solo room, the shapes are 2D, meaning a square, a circle, and a triangle. The shapes out in the main room are actually 3D, so they could be a prism, a cylinder, cone, a sphere, a cube, basically shapes that are combined to make a 3D shape. So in order to open the glass window for the solo players, we have to make sure that the statues are holding the opposite shapes. For example, this left statue was called square, but my statue shows a cube. So I want to make sure that this statue is holding a shape that doesn't have anything to do with a square. But since it's holding a cube, I have to plant a square 2 different times in order to cut the squares out. When I dissect both the squares from the statue, the 3D shape is going to turn into something else, for example, a cone. A cone includes a circle and a triangle, which means this statue is done because it includes no square. Now I have to check the other statues to make sure that the middle one has no circle and the right one doesn't have a triangle in that 3D shape. If it does, then I'll have to plant a circle or a triangle in it to cut it out. Once all statues are done, then the 3 players add clear and wait until the other solo players are out of their rooms. Oh, and remember, if you are in this room, you have to pick up a ghost and plant it in the pedestal once the witness interrupts, so make sure you communicate on that part. And one more thing, if you end up dying in a solo room, one person will get teleported in from the main room to continue what they were doing. Now moving on to loadouts, definitely have Unstoppable for the ogres in the main room and a bunch of weapons and supers for add clear. I personally use Machine Gun, Sidearm for Unstop, and Stasis to freeze everything. The Witness, one of our biggest enemies since years, the final encounter of the raid. This encounter will have 4 add clears, 2 on each side. Add clear is pretty simple, just remember that you will have to face subjugators once in a while along with creeps. The other 2 people will do a mechanic with the witness's hands. Encounters 1 through 3 has introduced us to a new shape along with a new witness hand, so let's go back to those encounters. In the first encounter, we got the hand with the palm facing down, which spawns in a triangle trap. It's the orange glowing triangle that when you stand in it, it will explode and hurt. The second hand with the palm facing to the sky symbolizes circle because it spawns the little circle trap, sending out bees or noodles towards it. And the third hand is square. This one sends out a wall of laser beams horizontally, just like how Rogue sends his beams. Now each of the hands has a bracelet that can be shot, but only when you stand inside their corresponding trap. For example, if you stand in a triangle trap, you need to shoot the bracelet with the palm facing down. When you do, it shows a shape on the bracelet and a color. There are 2 ways to identify the shape of the bracelet. Sometimes the shape is a bit small and not as visible to see. And if that's the case, you can just remember the shape by its color. Circle has a yellow or orange color, triangle has green, and square has red. So once you shot that bracelet and it shows a circle, that means you have to find the circle trap. Stand inside the trap for 3 to 5 seconds and it will give you a circle resonance buff. With that buff, you will look for the triangle trap again, stand in it and shoot the triangle hand's bracelet, and that means you just killed off the hand. Doing that will give you a glyph breaker buff and allows you to shoot one of the 6 buttons on his shirt. Whenever a button is shot, a subjugator on each side will spawn. While 2 people run back and forth to shoot the bracelets and grab buffs, the witness will eventually start a wipe mechanic, which looks like this. He will spawn in these diamond-looking cruxes in front of him, and we need to create a shape to not get wiped. The shape we need to create is the shape of the hand that was shot at the exact same time that the witness does this mechanic. Again, it's going to be the hand shape, not the bracelet. If I just shot the bracelet of the triangle hand, then the shape we need to create is triangle. For my team, I usually have 1 or 2 people create the shape so that no one accidentally shoots the wrong one. To create the shape, you need to shoot all the ones you don't need, so once you shoot a crux, it will disappear. Here are all the examples of which ones to not shoot when creating a shape. For triangle, the line over each of these cruxes you want to not shoot, and all the other ones you want to get rid of. This is what square looks like, and this is what circle looks like, which is actually a funky looking one. Once the shape has been created, the boss will throw his wipe mechanic on the ground, which means everyone needs to jump when he does this sound cue. If the shape was incorrect, then it's a wipe. After that, everyone goes back to what they were doing. Before the last button can be shot, you want to meet here in the middle and then shoot the last button. The platform will rise and his chest will open for damage. You never want to stand still when doing damage. He will decide to shoot laser beams on one corner of the platform and immediately after, shoot laser beams in the opposite corner, just like the 12-man activity. So for example, if he shoots laser beams in the top right corner, you want to stand in the bottom left corner, and once he's done, you'll know to automatically move to the top right corner because he will shoot the next laser beams in the bottom left. Not only that, but the floor mechanic where you need to jump, he will also randomly decide to do that, so listen careful on the sound cue. After damage, you will repeat everything for the second phase. One more thing before I talk about loadouts, if you're a ad clearer and you accidentally picked up a resonance buff from one of the traps, you will now have a timer of 1 minute 30 seconds, and if that timer runs out, you're going to die. So let one of the runners know, and when they are ready to shoot one of the buttons on the shirt, you are then going to stand in that blue buff in the middle. When they shoot that button, your resonance buff is going to go away. Think of it like a cleanser. Now moving on to loadouts, hunters, you are quite OP. If you're a hunter, use Golden Gun with Nighthawk and a Still Hunt Sniper. You will do so much damage with that Golden Gun on that sniper. If you're not on a hunter, Microcosm, Grenade Launcher, Sniper, or even Sleeper can be good for this boss fight. If anyone wants even more DPS, you can use Prismatic, and before you do damage, pop your Transcendence for more damage output. Well is definitely not required for this, but it will help out anyone that gets stuck in the laser beams for survivability. But if you're using Well, note that you need to pop Well once the platform has fully risen to the top, or else it's gone. As for Ad Clear, I like to use Blinding Grenade Launcher for the subjugators to keep them blinded because they can get very annoying. And because I use Still Hunt for damage, I use Machine Gun for Ad Clear. I know this was a lot of explanations, but I really hope this has helped on any confusion you may have or had on any of the mechanics and encounters. Let me know if you have any questions. I am more than happy to help out as much as I can. Please